Welcome to the boating adventure, and welcome to part 2 of our journey down to Calroast on the Grand Union Canal. This video begins as we go through the Blisworth Tunnel. We are just coming up to Gayton Junction. On the left hand side is the Northampton arm of the Grand Union Canal, but you can only go as far as Gayton Marina. After that the locks are all closed due to low water levels. We are going to the right, heading for the Blisworth Tunnel. Well, a very early morning to you. It's 10 minutes past 7 on Saturday the 9th of August 2025, and we've just left the mooring at Gayton Junction and we're just making our way now to the Blisworth Tunnel. The Blisworth Tunnel is about the third longest in the country, I think. So there's one more bridge to go and then we're going through the tunnel. Which is the third longest navigable tunnel. There are some tunnels that are longer, but they're no longer navigable. Yeah, it's 3,076 yards, which sounds an awful lot. So we're making our way there. Shouldn't be more than about half an hour before we get there. And then it's straight through the tunnel, and then we come to Stoke Bruin. And then we have to get in the queue to wait to go down the locks. Some very impressive mill buildings here. Look like they've been converted into flats. Look really nice.
Apartments. They're called apartments these days.
Well, apartments then. I call them flats.
Yeah.
So this is the last bridge before the tunnel, 51. On the right is another Railcraft 19.
real time it took us just over half an hour to go through the Blisworth Tunnel, and we didn't meet anybody coming the other way.
Is that in? No.
I've got no idea what's going on. Oh, it's Chappie.
Alright. So this is Stoke Bruin.
It's a very popular place amongst boaters and tourists alike, and I well remember as a very young Northamptonshire lad coming here on a school visit to look at the museum on the left hand side. Well, it has been open since 1963.
So it's a stroke of luck that we're going to go down with the boat that we did the last set of locks with, so we all know what we're doing. Okay, so there's about 2 more locks to go.
I didn't film going down the locks at Stoke Bruin because it's a bit of a repeat of the day before, really.
Okay, so we moored just before Bridge 57 and we're now on our way to the town of Wolverton. So we're coming up to Bridge 59 in a moment. We are still in Northamptonshire, but we're just on the border of Northamptonshire and Buckinghamshire. Our next port of call is
The lock at Cosgrove.
it's just a single lock and quite a small lock. It's only 3 foot 4 inches. Once we've done that, then we go through Wolverton and then we're into the outskirts of Milton Keynes. So what we're heading to do is to maybe find a nice mooring in Milton Keynes. So this is Bridge 59. One thing we are coming across now on this stretch of the Grand Union Canal, there's some very large boats. There are these wide beam boats. They look absolutely superb inside, fantastic. They're really like floating apartments. This this scenery here is fairly typical of what we've come across on the Grand Union Canal, which is quite surprising actually, that it's quite overgrown in places, especially on the offside. There's a lot of encroachment of vegetation, so the width of the canal is reduced quite a bit, and then on the towpath side it's not cut very often and very overgrown, and there are very long stretches where it's not easy to moor up because you can't get close enough to the bank unless you've got planks and things. It would be quite awkward to do. So you have to make the most of it when you see a stretch of Armcote really. But this is quite a typical view that we've had for quite a way down the Grand Union Canal.
We are now at Cosgrove Lock.
Just seeing what's going on, who's going through and who's doing what. Okay, so we're having a bit of a crisis at the moment because we picked up a lot of mud. There were two sets of narrowboats coming the other way, and they were both had a narrowboat on the side of them, so it was two boats together. So we had to pull up fairly sharpish, and in doing so took us over to the side, and we got a load of mud, which has now stopped the P hole from working. Nearest water point we could find didn't have a functioning proper tap, so there wasn't enough pressure to be able to flush the engine out. So we need to find the next water point, which is quite a way, and hopefully there's pressure there, we can flush the engine right through and get rid of this mud. But I've tried pushing compressed air through it, that didn't do it. There is water coming out of the bottom of the engine, so there is some water going round, but it's just not going around the P hole, so it's not cooling the top of the engine down. At the moment we're stuck behind a very slow electric narrowboat. I have to say it was at this point that things were getting a little bit stressful. We tried everything really. We managed to pull up at a water point that had a limited supply of water. We had to run a hose pipe from the tap that was in the place where you emptied your Elsan, and we were able to run a hose to the boat and tried flushing water through that way. I also then used the little connection which fits into the side of the engine that would push anything that was stuck in that part, push it down out. I leant over the back of the boat and I cleaned the filters out as best I could. I couldn't seem to shift anything. I used my compressed air canisters and they were running through fine. So I think we kind of established that there wasn't anything wrong with the lower part of the engine. Whatever we had taken in had found its way to the upper part of the engine, which was going to be a little bit more difficult. So we only went so far and decided that we'd come across a little bit of mooring that looked okay. It was between bridges 80 and 81A in Milton Keynes. It looked okay, looked fine. There were other boats about, so we pulled up there, and I spent a little bit more time trying to get the engine cleared, and then decided that I really needed to ring River Canal Rescue. So I rang them, and they promised to send somebody out first thing on Sunday morning, which they did. And by 10 o'clock Aaron came, and he spent about an hour, and he traced all the connections back in the engine and found that there was a tiny piece of mud the size of a mouse dropping that had lodged itself on a bend in the narrowest part of the tubing that sends the water to cool the top part of the engine. So I'm glad that we did what we did. I don't think I would have been able to fix it myself, and also it would have messed up the guarantee probably if I'd have tried to tackle it. In the end, it came down to blowing that bit of mud out with my little tin of compressed air. So these two tins that I get from Amazon are worth their weight in gold. So I'm so pleased that I do carry 2 cans of compressed air on the boat, because you never know when you're going to need it. So we're just going through Milton Keynes, and to be honest, you wouldn't know. You only see a very small part of any urbanisation. It's just going through some very pleasant parkland.
It's lovely down here.
It really is quite
Really nice.
There is actually plenty of mooring as well, so it's not a problem to moor up in some quite nice places. So Milton Keynes gets the boating adventure thumbs up. We left the mooring about 11:30, which gives us plenty of time to reach our goal for today, which is bridge 107. If we can get to 107, then we are back on schedule, even though we've had a bit of a delay this morning, waiting for the engineer to fix the engine. Which you did brilliantly, thank you again.
Aaron, cheers.
That was fantastic. So we're underway. If we can get a little bit further than that, we will do, and just gain a bit. But as we get towards Calroast, our cruising days get shorter anyway. I designed the route like that just in case we got behind. But so far we're on schedule. So I hope you've enjoyed part 2 of our journey down to Calroast Marina, and look out for part 3.